Okay, welcome to part 6 of building a dynamic web community in PHP, MySQL, and Flash. And in parts 4 and 5, we created this registration form and a parse mechanism in PHP for it. And we also created the activation script that gets sent to the user's email address so we can be sure they are who they say they are and they're human and all that good stuff. So at the end of this lesson, at the end of part 6, I'm going to package up the source files for everything I've done so far and put it in a zip package and place it on develop PHP for download in the PHP and MySQL section under this tutorial series. And so each time I create a script or add a video and a script, I'm going to update that zip package to where anybody who wants to follow along as I build, you can have the files that I place in as I go. Or you can just wait till the very end and snatch up the whole source package and then watch videos as you need to. Okay, so in this one, we're going to create we're going to go into our header Flash file, and we're going to put in the buttons that we need. And here I have the Flash file open, and I created a little orange rectangle and I gave it rounded edges, and I'm going to use that as a button, my first button, and I'm going to think about what buttons I need here. And the basis of this file is going to be very simple. On frame 1, we're not going to have any of the buttons. Buttons are going to be on frame 2 and 3. On frame 1, we're going to have a PHP connection code, and the PHP script is going to tell this Flash file whether or not the user is logged in or not. If the user is logged in, this file is going to snap to frame 2, and if the user is not logged in, it's going to snap to frame 3, where the login form, the login fields for the email and password will be in the little button. And or maybe I'll have it vice versa, maybe the login on frame 2 and the buttons for the logged in people on frame 3. It doesn't really matter, whichever one you want to snap to, but as long as those buttons are separated. So the logic is you want to have different items, different menu items based upon, for the user to use, based upon whether that user is logged in or not. It's very simple, and we can do this in Flash, which I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you in ActionScript 3. Or you can do it in straight PHP and HTML and CSS, a nice HTML and CSS header that would have the ability to make the server call to check if the user is logged in or not. It's very simple. It would almost be simpler to do it in PHP and MySQL and CSS and HTML alone and not use Flash. It would be simpler. So if you would like to use that method, you can try it out. But I'm not going to be showing that method. I'm going to show how to integrate a Flash header that has the ability to sense whether a user is logged in or not. Okay, I've got my universal header all set up, and now I'll show you what it consists of, the way I separated everything out and layered it. And you can see here we're on frame 1 in the main scene, the main timeline. And the top layer is timeline frame code, ActionScript 3, and that has 3 different or 3 independent scripts that will be placed on each independent keyframe there. And the not logged in stuff is here. So this is the items that the user would see if they're not logged in. The register and account link, so they can get to the register form and page. The forgot password link, that we'll set that up soon. This one's already active. This one's not set up yet. We'll do that in a later tutorial in this series. Here's the login button and the 2 fields for the email and password. And here is the status text that would give them an error message. And here is, this is on a different layer actually, so let's not even explain that yet. So here's the not logged in stuff, and you can see that it's above, on a layer above the logo and the bar. So here's the logo, and here's our bar. That's on a layer by itself, and that has a little bit of code on it. And in that code, on that layer, that's just simple code to make this home button. I have a button sitting on top of the logo and that word, and that invisible button, if I bring the alpha up, you can see the button. See it? That invisible button there is what people would use. See here? Click that, goes back to the home page. Anytime you're anywhere on the site, you click that and go back to the home page. And so that's what that's for. And then we have, so yeah, what's on that layer is just the button that's over the logo itself, and the bar. And then there's a dynamic text field of welcome text, and that just throws the user's name in. After they log in, it'll say web intersect Adam, or if your name's John, it'll say web intersect John. And so that's after you log in. So here is the logged in stuff. It's very simple. It's just 3 buttons. So if the user's logged in, they get to see this: the view the profile button, edit the profile button, and log out button. And we still have lots of room here on our bar that we can put menu items for when we start building content onto the site. And so the first frame, let's explain the code now. When the file opens, or when the file is accessed in the browser, right away in a split second, this little script runs to check and see. And you can see the URL here. It connects to a scripts folder, and inside we have a file called check user log that I just created. And this script is set to connect to that PHP file, and it checks to see if the user's logged in. If the user's logged in, or if the user's not logged in, it says go to and stop frame 2, so they see the not logged in stuff. If the user is logged in, right here, we give the welcome text the member name, and we remember that text sitting right here, the member name, and we also go to and stop frame 3, where they see the logged in items, so where they can edit their profile, view the profile, log out, all that good stuff, and anything you want to give them. And if you don't know how to, you need a tutorial on the basics of sending data, or sending a call out to PHP to get data back or whatever, to check things, I have lots of tutorials and that kind of stuff. My contact forms and working with external data section in my Flash tutorials. But that's a very simple mechanism just for sending a request out to a PHP file and then getting data back from it. And if you need, like I said, if you need tutorials on that, I've got it. I'm not going to explain all the fundamentals on that in this. We have a lot to cover. And then frame 2, the timeline frame code layer. This is for, this code is for when they press the submit button in the form. When they put in their email, they put in their password, and they press login. This is the script that runs when they press the login button. It does some validation, and it's just like a form, just like my form tutorials. So I'm not going to really explain that code either. If you don't understand it, go take my other tutorials and get the knowledge before you want to work with this. Let's see, and here we have a stop action, and soon I'm going to be putting in the URLs, which we haven't made those pages yet, so we can't put the URL link to them. There will be basically 3 button links, code for 3 buttons here, these 3. But we haven't created any of these pages yet, so we can't do that. And that's really how this whole thing works. And I tested it out in Google Chrome, Safari, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. It logged me in, and everything works beautifully. And I'm going to explain the scripts, the 2 scripts that we had to create. Because see here we have, where is it, frame 2, we have a login script that I created. These are very simple little tiny PHP scripts that I'll explain in a second. Then in frame 1 we have the check user log script. So those are two scripts that this header, universal header, requires that I created already, and now I'm going to explain them to you. There is one little quick thing that I need to explain before we look at those two scripts. Let's see, where is it? Right here. If the login comes back saying no good, we give them the status text saying no match in our records, please try again. When they put in their email and password in this frame 2 and then press login, if the PHP script returns no good, then we give them this message. But if it's all good and they are logged in, we log them in with the PHP script and we run this section here. And what this does, this is the JavaScript kind of hack that I put in, and I tested in all browsers, and it works in all browsers, all major browsers that people are using today. I tested in Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, and Google Chrome, and this refreshes the page automatically. So right when the event target.data return message equals all good, when it comes back, then we refresh the page, and we do that just in case they're on a page where it requires logged in data to look at something, and then they go to log in to look at that data. That way the page will refresh on its own to show them the data as a logged in member would see it. And that's what that does. And not many people know about this little trick here, but it's a JavaScript trick that you can use in the URL request that'll reload the self page, or reload the current window that's open in the browser. It's a pretty cool trick. And now let's talk about those two scripts here. So first one that this header file needs to access is check user log, to check if the user's logged in. And where is that? Check user log. Here we go. First thing we do is, this is our PHP file for check user log, and these both sit in the scripts folder. So here in our root directory of Web Intersect, we have a scripts folder, and that's the one where we have our connect to MySQL file. And here we have check user log and log in. That's where those live, and that's where they also live on the server. See? Go to scripts, check user log, and log in, connect to MySQL, all in the same folder there. And now let's talk about it. First, we start session start, or we claim session start to run to access any session variables that might be present. And we say first we run a condition, and its nest starts here and it closes here. And the condition is if the post code from Flash equals check log, which in Flash we send out that variable, see, vars postcode equals check log. That's how that works. We make sure we're coming from the Flash file here, so we wouldn't run this code if we weren't. This script would never run. So if that's coming from the Flash file and it equals check log, then we run another conditional here, and it's an if and else conditional statement, and it says if the session ID for the user, their ID session, is not set, then we print the return message equals not logged in. It's very simple. If the session ID, then we say else here, which is pretty much saying if the session ID is set, or if it is present and they are logged in, then we print back all good. No, we don't print back all good. We print back the member ID and the member name. And the member ID I'm not really accessing right now in the header file, but I might down the road. But I am accessing the first name. Now let's talk about the, and then after it's after it checks, then we exit the script. Actually, we put this exit up here too. Doesn't necessarily need it, because there's nothing down below that would even run anyway. But I like to exit my scripts when they don't need to process any further down. Okay, so that's check user log. Let's FTP that new one up. And let's talk about login now. Now the login form script, is similar. It checks to see if the post email does not equal nothing, because we need to have a value, and it needs to be posting an email posted variable in order for this script to run. And it must have that email variable must not be an empty variable. It must have some kind of value. So that's what that condition states. And it closes here at the bottom. So what we do inside is, if the email is variable is set and the user is trying to log in, then we include the connect to MySQL. We grab the posted variables from the Flash login form, and we create local PHP variables. Then we filter them. Then we take the password and we run the MD5 hash on it. Now this is important for logging the user in, because you got to remember in the database their password is all hashed up. Wouldn't be humanly readable to what their password actually is. It's just a long string of jumbled up numbers and letters. So you run the MD5 hash on what that user just input into the form, and then you'll have the match. So if it matches, it'll make the same exact hash, and then you check for that hash matching the database hash. So you say select from my members my members table from the database where email equals email from the form, and password equals the hash pass here from the form, and email activated equals 1. I'm going to make sure they've already activated through that activation script that we made in the beginning. And then we say we get the value of the number of rows that's accessed, that's gathered from this query, and it should be 1. And if we claim that variable gets packed into this, or that value gets packed into this variable, then we make a conditional that says if this value is greater than 0, which it should be if they're a member and they're in our database, then we run a while loop on the array of rows, or the array of fields, and we can access all of those fields, and we register the sessions for those fields, and then we set the values into the session, and that will log the user in and make session cookies for the people. And that way you can run sessions site-wide, and that way they don't have to log in on each page. If you want to understand how sessions work, you can go to php.net and check out all about that. The MySQL query here updates their last log date to now, to today's date, because you want to update that. And then we just print a message back to Flash, and we say all is good, and our Flash action script is waiting for that message, all good, and we return the user ID and the first name again. And then if the login did not work, we send back, in this else condition statement, we send back my message of no good, the return message of no good to Flash, and the action script is waiting for that there as well. You can see right here. If the return message equals no good, we do this. If the return message equals all good, we do this. And that's how this whole little universal header system works. It's this header file and those two files that I just explained, check user log and login.php. And now I'm going to wrap up all this source code into a zip package. And like I said, it's not going to be the complete system. It's just going to be for people the source code that I'm putting out tonight, after this video uploads to YouTube, is just for the people who want to follow along step by step as I build. A lot of people might choose to wait until I get to the end, but the source code will be available tomorrow, either today or tomorrow, and you can get it from developphp.com. No, actually, I'm just gonna make the source code available here from Web Intersect. And actually, you guys can join at this point. Please do help me out. You can help me out by registering an account, and you can help me get some members in the system, so I can get things right when I'm building my member search page, member listings, and tweaking out profiles and all that good stuff. But if you're a developer looking at creating these type of systems, it'd be a big help if you get in and join it early, so I can build a little easier. Don't have to make as many dummy characters in my database. I can have some real people in there from the start. That'd be sweet. Okay, so part 7, we're gonna go into the next phase of what we need here. But we took out a big chunk of a lot of the functionality that the header is gonna need and all that good stuff. And let's see, let's try and log in. Hit tab and password. I'll show you how this works now. Test it out. Press login. It says processing. There's my name. There's my 3 magic buttons that only the logged in user sees. And I'm still on the same page, and it refreshed it and everything, and that's exactly what we wanted. It's beautiful. Let's go back to the home page. It checks to see if I'm logged in again. Everything's great. Okay. So in part 7, we'll probably get the pages set up for the logout, the mechanism set up for the logout, and we'll just keep going down, knocking out each step, each phase of the project as we need it. So stay tuned for part 7, and look for the source code if you want to follow along. The source code will be available from Web Intersect here, and I'll also link to it from Develop PHP and all that good stuff. Alright, see you guys later.